We have almost a double system where you can use the band mix in one system and a vocal mix or anything else that you need special attention to in a whole different system. So it's like two systems in one.
There's nothing that's more fun than standing in the middle of a field somewhere making a huge amount of noise.
The idea dates way back from, if I'm not mistaken, the 1960s or maybe early 70s with Grateful Dead, the American band. They used to do a lot of experimenting in audio, and they had a thing called the Wall of Sound. There are pictures of that on the internet, where each instrument had its own little PA, all different, but each behind the piano was a piano PA. Behind the bass there was a bass PA, and it was an experiment. Later we were doing a show for the Backstreet Boys in 2000, I think it was, the year 2000, and the engineer, his name was Tim Lamoy. He asked me to do that. We had 4 columns conventionally spaced away from each other, and he said, just leave me the band mix on the inside columns and the vocal only on the outside columns. And that's the first time I had ever heard of this, other than knowing the Wall of Sound as a theory. And in practice, I was really surprised, really impressed by the power of the vocals. You know, they had their own PA, the full headroom throughout the console, the summing amps on the console's outputs, the input of all the drive system, the processors, the amplifiers, the speakers, everything had plenty of headroom. And that translated into clarity and power. And that's what we're trying to reproduce here.
The setup here is that there are 2 line arrays side by side. Some people have been apparently using it and putting everything through both of them, but that to me defeats the whole object of a line array. So we're not doing that. We're using one side for vocals and one side for the rest of the band. And had a listen to it earlier on and it seemed to work fine.
Each side has 3 columns of speakers. The inside column we would suggest for using the band mix, all the drums, bass, guitars, keyboards, all that band mix. The middle column is subwoofers, only for the very low end, and the outer column is for a mix which you need special attention to, usually vocals, maybe guitars, you know, lead guitars, whatever is important in the person's mix. Separate it from the band mix, and then they get full headroom throughout that whole system. So they have a full PA system only for that featured instrument or vocal or whatever.
The biggest issue really is that because you split the signal into 2 different stereo paths, I no longer have a reference here for my near field monitors where I can just solo and hear the entire mix at once. But other than that, it's been fine.
The way that the stage is built is quite wide, so they needed like a bunch of front fills just to make sure you get like some direct sound in the front and stuff. But overall, I kind of like it from what I heard so far. We'll see when the place fills up and with temperature change tonight and all that, see how it behaves. But I'm pretty confident so far. Well, basically, Jim gives me like all different feeds from his desk, left, right, subs, front fills, and today we have a dedicated feed from him just so I can send vocals separately to the different hangs. I've been using Galileos for quite a long time, so it's I just used to carry these. Like, I know a lot of people will use lakes and stuff like that to manage PAs, and I basically just prefer the interface of the Galileo. Everything's on one page. Get access to like different kinds of filters and stuff that I mean, we can probably achieve the same thing with the lake in one way, but I've been working with a lot of Meyer products in the past, and it's just something I like to have in front of any PA I'm using, because I'm familiar with it, and it's just easier for me. Makes my job a lot quicker because I'm really comfortable with these machines. So yeah, so from there then I'll give the house just separate feeds for, like, let's say left and right, separate subs, so I can redo some time alignments, just make sure we're happy with it, and gives me a bit more control than just asking the house guy to make some changes for myself. So like at night, it's easier to realign the subs when the show starts and the temperature drops and stuff like that, so I can just deal with my own stuff. And that's the same system drive that I carry for our arena tour as well. So I just slightly change the patch to interface with festivals, but I just use the same tools on a daily basis, no matter what PA I get to work with.
We have 5 lines basically coming from every console to the front of house position here. We have a matrix system where each one of those 5 can be selected in or not. So we basically only have one console online at any moment. And then that gets routed, those 5 lines get sent to each column. We have left band, right band, left vocal, right vocal, and the sub send. Those are the signals that each console sends to us. And then we distribute that throughout the main PA. We then do a down mix of that. When vocals and band are separate, we later join them together so that they go to the delay system, which is not a dual column, it's a conventional column. So there's a down mix for that. And that's pretty much it. Its capacity of being very, very loud. Personally, I don't like that much volume. I like it to be a little lower and have all that headroom and everything working in a comfortable range. And that's what I do get with this system, because it becomes painfully loud if you allow it to, and it's impressive. It's very impressive.
I haven't worked with it before, so this is going to be a first experience of it. It sounded pretty good for a big outdoor system. It's got a lot of kind of very meaty low end, which is usually a good thing for outdoors. It means that you can get a good heavy, loud sounding mix without it actually metering very loud on sort of A-weighted metering, which is usually what the problem is for a big outdoor show. That's usually where the noise restrictions are.
You just turn it on and it works, and it throws forever, and it's very powerful, and it covers well. It sounds great. It's a very easy tool to work with. It sets up quickly, comes down quickly as well. It's a great product, all around.
The great thing about festival season is that you do get, for instance, today I'm listening to this system on a huge scale for the first time, and I'm able to make a reasonable judgment about it. If you don't do things like this, you just use what you spec, and that's all you ever see. So I always look at the festival season as being a great chance to go around and look at other systems and see how they perform. I said to them that if we're going to go over 96 channels, I need to be looking at a different desk, because 96 is the maximum I can handle with this console. And they told me that there was no chance that they would go over 96. We're now at 96, and every time we add something, we have to find something to take away, which is kind of a good limiting factor in a way. It would be scary if I had, if I had more inputs, by now we'd be using them, and it's already. I mean, we've been doing half-hour changeovers on some of the festivals, and line checking 96 channels in the 10 minutes that are remaining at the end of a half-an-hour changeover, once we put our whole stage together, is just about the limit. Well, the main challenge is that I've got 12, sometimes 13 people on stage and all playing a lot at the same time. So it's just a case of trying to sort through all that and make it work. They're very aware. They're very, reasonably realistic. They ask for the world, and we try and give it to them. But there are certain situations where you just have to say, well, no, you can't do that. One example was the B stage. They were very interested in doing stuff on the B stage and the A stage at the same time. And we had in the arena shows, we actually hang a separate PA over the B stage. And I told them very early on that it's going to be impossible to play things that are time related between the two stages, because there are time differences, it's just depending on where you stand. And so, you can do stuff on the A stage, but anything that's got to be in time with the B stage is going to have to be coming out through the B stage. And some of them don't wear ears, and they don't like wearing in-ear monitors. But that was another thing that we pointed out, is that as soon as you're in that situation where the PA, you're going to hear the PA 100 milliseconds after you sing, you really got to be on in-ears, and if only in that particular situation. So all those kind of things they took on board, and then immediately came up with an idea that involved doing things that on the two different stages that would have to be in time with each other. So we had to come up with a way of making that work. Very, very rarely have the real band on stage, especially in these situations. When we're doing arena tours, arena shows, then more often than not the band will sound check. But the thing with this band is that the sound check is more of a rehearsal for the different things that they're going to do that day. Every day there's something different. They do a different cover version, for instance, most days, and so sound checks are taken up either doing, re-familiarising themselves with a song that they haven't played for sometimes months, one of their own, or doing something completely new from scratch, or trying out a new idea. When we're doing the arenas, we're using a B stage, and they're constantly coming up with different things that they want to do with the B stage. So we spend most of our time in the sound checks doing that kind of thing. And they never play a song the way they play it live in front of an audience when they do it in a sound check. Everybody always says when they see this band, they always talk about the amazing energy. And I think that one of the ways that they conserve that energy is that they never do it unless it matters. They work it out, they work out their parts, they try it, and then I know that there are certain things that I'm going to get hitting me 6, 9, 12 dB louder when they actually do it for real. So that's why the virtual sound check is most useful for me, is because I play it back from the previous show, and it's how the band actually play when they play it in front of an audience, which, as I say, that is the only time that happens. Even when we do TV shows and things like that, they'll go through camera rehearsals and they'll just mumble odd words into microphones and things. And if I'm not actually mixing it myself and I'm just overseeing somebody else mixing it, I have to tell them, this is not what it's going to be like. You can expect to get, a lot more of everything when it starts to happen, which is fine as long as you know that is the case. It took a bit of getting used to, and at first it was slightly frustrating, but I think the fact that so many people have commented on how amazing they are when they're actually on stage doing what they do, they're human beings, and they're very much they're a very vibey band, and it is unrealistic in a way to expect them to play with the excitement and the energy that they play with when it really doesn't matter. Well, they think it doesn't matter. Obviously, for me, it kind of matters quite a lot. But we've got to know each other quite well, and they know that I've got that available to me. So we work around it, and I don't even bother now asking them to do it properly in the rehearsal, because as much as you ask, it will never happen. I guess the first thing you do is look at how well covered over you are, because a number of times that I've been to festivals or been doing outdoor shows, and everybody's insisted that it never rains here, or this is going to be fine, and then you've ended up spending the evening mixing under a plastic sheet because the roof leaks and it did rain. So really dealing with the weather. Other than that, the setup is as it would be in an indoor show. I mean, today, for instance, one slightly weird thing was that we couldn't actually put our gear on the stage to line check, so we had to line check individual risers off stage, one at a time. You know, that's kind of an unusual setup, but again, you know, with a good team of guys who know what they're doing and can put it all together in a weird way, just to make sure that it all works, so that when we walk up to it later on, we're sort of fairly confident it's all going to work. Yeah. Not too much of a problem. Generally, I like mixing outdoors. You know, because acoustically it's usually better, but also I just love it. There's nothing that's more fun than standing in the middle of a field somewhere making a huge amount of noise.